Hello, my name is Thomas Drew, and I'll be telling you some interesting facts about the number 13. I'm drinking a decaf tea today, because I don't want to stay up too late, but I also have got a massive croissant. I'm not the sort of person who dips their croissants in their teas, but, you know, still good to have. So, of course, number 13 is considered unlucky by a lot of people. No one actually knows 100% sure where that superstition comes from. However, you've got examples of this in modern culture, for example, Friday the 13th. Some buildings don't list a 13th floor, but also there was a hospital called St Thomas's Hospital in South London, where they don't list number 13 as any of their beds to avoid patients who are superstitious from not being willing to be treated in beds numbered 13, which I think is quite interesting. But despite the fact that it's considered unlucky, the number 13 is actually what mathematicians call... Come on, sugar. There we go. Whoa. I didn't mean like, come on, sugar. Anyway, the number 13 is what's called a happy number, which basically means that if you take the squares of each of the individual digits that make up the number and add them together, if you keep doing that with each sum, you eventually just get back to 1. So 1, 3... 1, 9, 10, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. So yeah, it's a happy number. So do with that what you will. Is it superstitious? Is it just happy? Who knows? Massive croissant time. Now, one more interesting fact, about the number 13 is that in 13 days, it'll be the 11th of April. Now, you can go check the rest of my page for other interesting number facts if it is not 13 days until the 11th of April. However, if it is, check back tomorrow, because there'll be some interesting facts about the number 12! Whee! Alright, bye, thank you. Hello, my name is Thomas Drew, and today I'll be telling you some interesting facts about the number 12. Today I'm going to be having a very special tea. This is actually my favourite tea that I ever drink. I realised now that I'm starting this, I don't actually have 13 teas available to me, so I'll be interested to see how the rest of this series goes, because I do plan on doing this as a whole series. But yes, this is Earl Grey and green tea that I've had to get from Switzerland, because for some reason I just can't find it in England anymore. They sold it in England for a bit, I live in England, and then they just stopped selling it. And so I had to get my uncle who lives in Switzerland to bring some boxes of it over and smuggle them across the border. So yeah, you don't have it with milk or sugar. Well, you possibly could if you wanted to, but I don't. So I'll just let this brew whilst I tell you some interesting facts. Ow, some water splashing it burnt me. I also realised as well, this is a tiger-themed mug, kind of like the one in the last video. That wasn't intentional, but, you know, kind of cool as well. Anyway, the number 12. Unlike the topic of the last video, the number 12 is quite spiritual. It represents perfection, which is very much unlike unlucky number 13. I think my favourite fact about the number 12 is that in the English language, it's the last number that's only one syllable. After 12, all the rest of them are multiple syllables. I think that's pretty cool. 12 is also a really big number for measurements. So, of course, you've got 12 months. There's also 12 numbers on a clock. Also 12 inches makes a foot, and then 12 is also a dozen. So 12 is quite an important number in terms of measuring things. This is also an exciting age milestone, because the age of 12 is the age where you can legally buy a pet in the UK. I don't know what the laws are in other countries, but I know that in the UK, you can buy a pet at the age of 12, which is kind of cool as well. So any 12-year-olds, go get those hamsters. There are also, and this is going to get a bit political, there are also 12 stars in the flag of the EU. As I said before, I live in England, so that doesn't really apply to us anymore now, does it? But, you know, that's still another fact about the number 12. Now, one last fact about the number 12 is there are now 12 more days until the 11th of August. So, if that isn't true, you can go check on the rest of my page, because there'll be an interesting fact about however many days left there are until that date. If it is 12 days left until the 11th of August, then Tune back in tomorrow because I will have another one of these up for 10. No. 11. 11 comes after 12, doesn't it? Yeah. Anyway, have a good one. Hello, my name is Thomas Drew, and today I will be telling you some interesting facts about the number 11. Now, this tea is labelled Red Bush in the little, like, Tupperware tub that my mum has kept them in. So I have never tried this tea, so this will also be a tea review as well. I don't know whether you're meant to have it with milk or sugar, so I'm just going to brew it normally, because I generally quite like just my tea normally. So I'll just let this brew as I tell you some interesting facts about the number 11. So let's get into it. Now, 11 is the smallest prime number that has 2 digits, which I think is very cool. I like little, like, the first number or the last number facts, because numbers are obviously infinite, so it's kind of cool that this number is special because it's the first one that does this, or it's the last one that does this. I think that's really cool. But also, kind of similar to my last video, the reason I really like number 12 is because it's just one syllable, gets everything out of the way. I don't like 11 because it has 3 syllables. 11. I think that's too much. I don't like it. But those aren't the facts you came here for. So, fact number 1. 11 is the largest number of Oscars that a film has ever won at the Oscars. In fact, 3 films have won 11 Oscars. You've got Return of the Kings, the Lord of the Rings film. You've got Ben-Hur, and also, of course, Titanic. Sticking with the pop culture, of course, 11 is also the name of Millie Bobby Brown's character in Stranger Things. She was originally, her birth name, the character's birth name is Jane Ives, and her mum was called Terry. And then, you know, she then becomes Jane Hopper and, way, yes. Another fact about the number 11, not the character, Russia has 11 time zones because it's just such a massive country that it spans across 11 time zones, which I think is pretty cool. Another quite cute fact about 11 is that in Dutch, 11 translates to elf, spelt E-L-F, like elf, which I think is quite cute. Now, one last fact about the number 11 is it's 11 more days until, oh my god. Oh. Now, one more fact about the number 11 is that it is 11 more days until the 11th of August. Now, if it's not 11 more days until the 11th of August, that means it's a different number of days till the 11th of August, and you can check on my page and I'll have a fact about whatever number of days is left. If it is 11 days until the 11th of August, then tune back in tomorrow where I'll be doing facts about the number 10. And I got it right this time. I will be doing facts about the number 10. I got it wrong in the last one. Now, time to try this tea. It's a bit warm, so I'll just blow on it a bit. That's quite nice. It's quite floral. That's actually pretty nice. It's still very warm, so I'll have it all later. Bye! Hello, my name is Thomas Drew, and today I'll be telling you some interesting facts about the number 10. My hair's a little bit wet because I woke up quite late, so I've also just recently brushed my teeth. So I thought I would stick with a mint tea so that the flavour of toothpaste wouldn't have too much effect on what I was drinking. So, yeah, but let's get into it. Now, the number 10 is, of course, the first 2-digit number. It's also a triangular number, which confused me a little bit when I first heard about it. But basically what it is if you imagine how you stack bowling pins, with 1 at the front, and then 2, then 3, then 4. If you add up however many of that stack that you've created going out like that, that's a triangular number. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 10. 10 is also in the Bible a bit. You've got, obviously, the 10 Commandments, and then there's also the 10 Plagues of Egypt, too. Now, this one's for the more chemistry-oriented people out there, but the 10th element on the periodic table is neon, used for neon signs. But what we colloquially call neon signs don't always use neon. Neon is only ever used if the sign is red. If it's any other colour, then it will be something like xenon or argon, combined with little bits and pieces to change the colours slightly. Now, the 10th month is October, but Oct is 8, right? Yes. So the old Roman calendar had only 10 months, and it didn't have January or February. But they realised after a while that the months that they had for the amount of time didn't actually add up to a whole year. So they added in January and February at the start to close the gap. Which is why everything like October is bumped up by 2 to 10, and December, which used to be the 10th month, is bumped up to 12. sticking with October, on the 10th of October, 1910, at 10:10 p.m., a man called George Inmad suddenly regained hearing after having been deaf since birth. And no doctor could figure out why this was. They just thought that this was just an extremely lucky thing to happen. But because of the lining up of the numbers 10, superstitiously people touch their ears at 10:10 p.m. Because it's a symbol of good luck. Now, of course, with all of these, I think you know what's coming next. There is one more fact about the number 10, and that it is 10 days until the 11th of August, which is a very special day. If it's not 10 days till the 11th of August, that means it's a shorter amount of days, and you can go and check on my page, because I'll have another video up about however many days are left. But if it is the 10 days until the 11th of August, then tune back tomorrow, because I'll have some very fun facts about the number 9, because the number 9 is my favourite number. You'll get a little story time about why it's my favourite number, and some cool facts about the number 9. So, see you later. I'll enjoy my mint tea, which is probably still too warm to drink. But, yeah, have a good day. Hello, my name's Thomas Drew, and today I'll be telling you some interesting facts about my favourite number, number 9. I'll be making myself an iced tea today. Because I tried out making one at work, and it actually went quite well. It was quite nice. So I'm going to try and recreate it at home. I'll be flavouring it with some lemon. So hopefully that'll be nice. So I've got a couple facts about 9. However, I will also be telling you a story time about why 9 is my favourite number, because I think it's a bit of a weird story, and I think you might like it. Now, similar to the 27 Club, which is a phenomenon where famous musicians die at the age of 27, like Jimi Hendrix or Kurt Cobain. 9 is the number of symphonies that a classical composer post Beethoven tends to write before they die. Now, there are examples of plenty of musicians who have written way more than 9 symphonies, like Shostakovich, my favourite composer. He wrote 15 before he died, but it's generally this strange pattern where a classical composer will write 9 symphonies and then die, Beethoven being the first one to do this. Now, interesting fact about Beethoven's 9th, that's the Ode to Joy Symphony. It's not called the Ode to Joy Symphony, but the final movement of that symphony is the famous Ode to Joy melody that everybody knows that plays at the end of Peggle when you win a round of Peggle. And it's also significant because that's the first time that a choir was ever used in a symphonic work in the history of music. I had more facts, but I'm running out of time because I started talking about music and I just couldn't stop. So I will just skip forwards and I will tell you the story of why 9 is my favourite number. So I was 9 years old, walking down the street. Now I know that a lot of people have like these profound reasons why certain numbers are their favourites. For example, like it could be their parents' birthday or their parents' anniversary, or like the year their grandmother was born or something like that. Not for me. I was walking down the street. A couple of people, probably very drunk, shouted at me across the road and just went, "Oi, you, 9, never forget that number." And I've never forgotten that number. I just imagine that at some point in the future, I'll be walking down a dark alleyway and some murderer will jump out and go, "Oi, you, think, what number am I thinking of? And if you get it wrong, I'll shoot you." And I go, 9. And then that number saves my life. Like, that's what I imagine will happen. This has been a great episode of Interesting Number Facts because, like, I've made what will hopefully be a great tea. I talked about music and I talked about my favourite number. This is brilliant. I got too caught up in my love for the number 9 because it's also 9 more days until the 11th of April. I almost forgot to tell you. That's nice! Hello, my name is Thomas Drew and I'll be telling you some interesting facts about the number 8. So today I will be drinking a ginger tea, just because I thought it sounded quite nice, and I don't know whether I've ever actually tried it. So, yeah. Now, excluding 1, because I don't think 1 really counts, 8 is the only perfect cube number in the Fibonacci sequence, just full stop. 2 to the power of 3 is the only perfect cube number that's in the Fibonacci sequence, which I think is quite cool. Creatures like spiders, scorpions, ticks are called arachnids, which comes from the Greek word for spider, which is named after Arachnia, which is a Greek myth about a woman called Arachnia who challenged the goddess Athena to a weaving competition. And then Athena got offended by the fact that she was so hubristic about her ability to weave that she destroyed her entry into the competition. Arachnia then tried to commit suicide by hanging herself, which is a bit dark, but then Athena felt sorry for her, so she loosened the rope and turned her into a spider, so that her and her children would be the spiders in the world. Brought into the pop culture consciousness by Robert Louis Stevenson's book Treasure Island, the term pieces of 8 is used to refer to treasure. And this goes back to the times of the British North American colonies, because they weren't allowed to mint their own coins, and so people there would just use any money available to them. One popular one being the Spanish dollar. And it was worth 8 reals, as it was called back then. And so if they wanted to split up this amount of money into any smaller increments, they would physically cut the coins into pieces. So if you wanted 1 real, you'd have a piece of 8. There are 8 planets in our solar system, which is somewhat controversial among some people, as they still believe that Pluto should be counted as a planet. However, the reason why in 2006 the decision of what is a planet was made was because before that, the definition was relatively up in the air. Like, there wasn't a concrete, solid, this is what makes a planet definition. And so as more and more different objects were found in the solar system that could be planet-like, the list of planets started to grow to the point where people decided that maybe we should put a hard concrete definition on what a planet is. So a planet is something that orbits a sun, has enough gravity to be forced into a spherical shape, and has enough gravity to clear objects around it. Now, one more fact about the number 8 is that it is 8 more days until the 11th of August. If that's not true, then check on my page. I'll probably have a video out about whatever number of days it is left. But if it is true, tune in tomorrow and I'll have a video out about the number 7, which is my least favourite number. But oh well, bye! Hello, my name is Thomas Drew, and today I'll be telling you some interesting facts about my least favourite number, the number 7. So I am desperately running out of teas. So I was tearing through my cupboard looking for a tea so I could film this video. And I came across this, which is this Feel New organic tea, it says. It's a clean fusion of aniseed, fennel and cardamom. It was in a box of like multi-flavoured like different teas, and they all seem quite interesting. So the next few videos will be quite cool as I go through the next 4 that I have available to me. But yeah. Now I should probably explain why the number 7 is my least favourite number. And to start off, it's the only single digit number that has 2 syllables. Which just I don't really like. I don't like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It just feels out of place and I don't like it. This is also a bit more of a niche reason, but it counts as the first fact, I suppose. When doing swimming meets, because I used to be a swimmer, you'd get medals for 1st, 2nd and 3rd place, but sometimes 4th, 5th and 6th place would also get sort of like congratulatory medals on placing so high. And so to place 7th was the worst thing to happen. If you went up to the award sheet and you looked for where you were and you saw that you were 7th, that was one of the worst feelings, which is why I don't like the number 7. But like any other number, 7 also does have some interesting facts about it. If I were to ask you how many lives does a cat have, you'd probably say 9. But if you were from Germany, Spain or Iran or another country, there's a chance that you would also say 7. Because those countries believe that instead of 9 lives, cats have 7. Somewhat similar to this, most English-speaking countries refer to 7 continents, those being North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, Oceania and Antarctica. But some other countries see 6, 5 or even 4, combining North America and South America into America, combining Europe and Asia into Eurasia, or combining Eurasia and Africa into Afro-Eurasia. Strap in, I don't have enough time to get through this, but I just went through this massive rabbit hole of researching the 7 deadly sins. The 7 deadly sins didn't actually originate from the Bible. They can be traced back to a man called Evagrius Ponticus, who was a monk in the 4th century, and he came up with the 8 evil thoughts, gluttony, lust, greed, wrath, sloth, sadness, vainglory and pride, which he warned his fellow monks against. Then Pope Gregory I in the 6th century took this list, replaced sloth with envy, and took pride and made it the ruler of the other 7, calling these the 7 vices. Then St. Thomas Aquinas in the 13th century put sloth back in and took away sadness. And then more recently, vainglory has been combined with pride, and we have the 7 deadly sins that we know now. Maybe I'm cursed because my teabag fell in and I've run out of time, but it's also 7 more days until the 11th of April, which is a good day, so check back for more numbers. Hello, my name is Thomas Drew, and today I'll be telling you some interesting facts about the number 6. This is from the same box as I got yesterday's tea from. It's called Nighttime Organic. I do have work in like 20 minutes, so maybe I shouldn't be drinking a nighttime tea, but it sounded nice. It's got oat flour, lavender and lime flour in it, so that sounds quite interesting. But yeah, let's get started. Now 6 is the first of what's called a perfect number, which basically means that if you take all of the factors of 6, 1, 2 and 3, and you add them together, it creates the number that those are the factors of. The subphylum Hexapoda consists of arthropods with 6 legs. So this is any 6-legged bug that you can think of. You got bees, you got butterflies, you got wasps, you got a silverfish, anything like that. And because of this, it's the most abundant subphylum on the planet. First posed by the Hungarian author Frigyes Karinthy, the idea of 6 degrees of separation is the concept that one person is no more than 6 people away from knowing anybody else on the planet. This is used for the meme of like Kevin Bacon theory, the idea that you could link everybody in Hollywood to Kevin Bacon. It's a similar concept to that. The Great Fire of London was in 1666, which was a great fire in London. It started on Pudding Lane and spread because thatched roofs were used for the majority of houses in London at the time, and they were also predominantly built out of wood too. So when a fire started, it was incredibly easy for it to spread between houses. One technique actually used by firefighters at the time was to try and tear down houses that hadn't already been lit on fire in the hopes of creating an empty space around the fire that therefore meant that it couldn't skip over and reach new houses. The official number of deaths that occurred because of the Fire of London is 6. However, this is often disputed as evidence for bodies is quite difficult to come across with a fire, as remains are often burnt and unrecognisable. The famous St Paul's Cathedral, the domed cathedral at the centre of London, was actually built after the Great Fire of London when the first cathedral burnt down. There is also a commonly held belief that the Great Fire of London also stopped the plague, because London was also suffering from the plague at the time. However, that's not necessarily true, as there is still evidence of people having died after the Great Fire of London from the plague as well. Now, I've got to run to work, but I will let you know one more fact about the number 6, and that it is 6 more days until the 11th of April. If it's not 6 more days till the 11th of April, then it's some other number of days, and I'll probably have a video about whatever number that is on my page, so you can go check it out. If it is 6 more days, then check back tomorrow, have some facts about the number 5. Good day! Hello, my name is Thomas Drew, and today I'll be telling you some interesting facts about the number 5. Bit of a change of scenery. I'm at work. This was the only time I could really find to film this. I'm currently on my break, eating chips. I've got a green tea with me, but because I've been at work today, I've not really had time to sit down and properly research through some proper long facts about the number 5. So it's going to be a bit more of a quick fire day for you all today. So of course, the number 5 is a prime number, but it's the only prime number that is the sum of 2 other consecutive prime numbers, those being 2 and 3. There are 5 Olympic rings. They represent each continent that competes in the Olympics. So you've got the Americas, Africa, Europe, Asia and Eurasia. But another bonus fact about the Olympic rings, there is no country in the world that's flag doesn't have at least one of the colours of the Olympic rings, because they're meant to sort of show unity among countries. Earthworms have 5 hearts. So if your partner's ever asked you, would you still love me if I were a worm? Chances are, if they're a worm, they'd probably love you more. 5 is also quite a pervasive number in religion as well. For example, you've got the 5 pillars of Islam, you've got the 5 Ks in Sikhism. 5 represents God's love for humanity in Christianity. And in Hinduism, 5 represents Earth and your physical body. There are 5 vowels in the English language, A, E, I, O, U. I personally think that Y should be given consideration, but what do I know? Famous fashion designer Coco Chanel considered the number 5 her lucky number, and so the fragrance number 5 was released on the 5th day of the 5th month. The pattern of 5 dots that you often find on a die, of 4 dots and then 1 in the middle, is called a quincunx. I apologise for the shorter episode today, I've got to get back to work now. But one more fact about the number 5 is that it is 5 more days until the 11th of August. I'll get it right today. And if it's not 5 more days till the 11th of August, then that means it's some other number of days till the 11th of August. And you can check on my page and I'll have whatever number of days is left, a fact about that number. So come back then and I'll see you. Bye! Hello, my name is Thomas Drew and today I'll be telling you some interesting facts about the number 4. Change of scenery again. Through some mass hijinks, I've not been available all day to record this, so it's currently 10 o'clock. Sorry to anybody who I told, come back tomorrow for some interesting facts, because you're probably asleep now. But it's the same day, so it doesn't really matter. I have got an elderberry and echinacea. I should have probably looked this up before I said it in this video. But this tea, because, I don't know, it sounded nice. It says it's all fruity, kind of cute. Yeah, so let's start. 4 is the smallest of what's called composite numbers, which are numbers that can be divided by smaller numbers other than 1. So 4 can be divided by 2, which makes it the smallest composite number. 4 is also the only letter in the English language that has the same number of letters as there are in its name. 4-leaf clovers are considered lucky just because of how rare they are to find, but the most leaves ever found on a clover is 56, and it was found on May the 10th in Japan in 2009. There was a 56-leaved clover. Completely on the other side of luck, in a number of East Asian countries, the number 4 is considered very bad luck because the translated word for 4 also sounds like the translated word for death. And so that association makes 4 an unlucky number. 4D cinemas technically aren't a lie, but not because they spray water on you and make your seat shake. Scientists believe there are 4 dimensions that we experience. You've got the 3D, 3 dimensions, physical dimensions, and then the 4th dimension is commonly believed to be time. So technically, a 4D cinema, which shows you 3D images and is also moving through time, is technically a 4D cinema for that reason. 8 bits of storage is called a byte. However, 4 bits of storage, so half a byte, is called a nibble. Norway, in the Eurovision Song Contest, has completed the competition with 0 points on 4 separate occasions, which is the most of any country. If you look at a map of the world that shades countries in different colours so you can differentiate between them easily, 4 is the least number of colours that you need in order to be able to do this, just because of the way the countries fit together. 4 is the fewest number of colours that you need so that no 2 countries next to each other are shaded the same. Now, one more fact about the number 4 is it is 4 more days till the 11th of August. If that's not true, then on my page there'll be a video about however many days are left till the 11th of August. If it is true, tune in tomorrow because I'll be coming at you from a different country, which is why something to do with all of this, and it will all be about the number 3. So have a good night. Goodbye. Hello, my name is Thomas Drew, and I'm coming at you from Tenby in Wales, which is not England, which was why I said yesterday that I'd be in a different country. I'm there. I don't have a tea on me at the moment. I'm just kind of walking around looking for one. So I'll just tell you some facts about the number 3 whilst I do that. So fact number 1, the phrase "third time's a charm." No one's 100% certain exactly where this comes from. Motorbike. No one's exactly sure where this comes from, but it's thought that maybe it could be something to do with the 3 attempted hangings of John Lee. He was tried for murder, and then when they tried to hang him, they just couldn't, and so after the 3rd time they just gave up and gave him prison time instead, and so that's where people tend to think the phrase might have come from. If it isn't that, some people also suggest it might have something to do with the Holy Trinity, but that's heavily debated. There is no... Whoa, thank you. I'm not alone here, but I'm not going to tell you who I'm with, because that's a big secret. It's your mum. Now, something unlucky about the number 3. It's believed that lighting a cigarette with the same match 3 times is unlucky. And now, again, people aren't 100% certain where this comes from, but a lot of people think it might have something to do with World War I. If you're in the trenches, the ocean is right there. I don't know if you can see it. If you're in the trenches and there's an enemy sniper and you light a cigarette, then you'll get the enemy sniper's attention. If you then light a second cigarette, then that enemy sniper will have time to train on you. And if you light a 3rd cigarette, then the enemy sniper will take a shot. The reason why the number 3 is sometimes written with a line on top of it, instead of just a little curve, is because it's to prevent fraud and making that 3 then look a bit like an 8 instead. There are some possible T locations around, but I've not finished all the facts. In the Gothic era, they would use the idea of the triptych in their art to tell biblical stories. Now, this was a 3-panel art piece, often displayed on altars, where you'd have the beginning, the middle, and the end displayed. Now, as you moved into the Renaissance era, this concept was still carried over. However, the 3 individual panels were lost in favour of a much larger individual canvas. But this idea of 3-act storytelling can be seen all over in the way that humans tell stories. Now about my favourite thing, the interval of a third in Western music is probably one of the most important, as it's what defines major or minor chords. I think we found somewhere for tea. Look. Well, I'm here and I've got it. I got sassed by the bartender though. Well, one final fact about the number 3 is that in 3 days it's the 11th of August. So yeah, if it's not 3 more days, then it's probably 2 or maybe even 1 more day till the 11th of August, or it's the 11th of August. If any of those things are true, then go on my page. I'll have facts about all the numbers. So enjoy that. I'll sit here and sheepishly drink my tea in a pub at 10 o'clock at night. Hello, my name is Thomas Drew, and today I'll be telling you some interesting facts about the number 2. Sorry it's late. I didn't have a whole lot of time yesterday to make this, so I'm just going to do it now, and I'm sorry it's late. Today I'll be drinking a... Today I'll be drinking a chai tea, as per popular demand. Yeah, so let's get into it. The number 2 is the only prime number that is even, because a prime number is only divisible by 1 in itself, and there are no other numbers before the number 2 other than 1. Helium's atomic number is 2, and helium is known for making balloons float because it's a lot less dense than air, so it rises up. It's also popular because it makes your voice all high-pitched when you breathe it in. Now, this isn't because helium is changing anything about your physical body. It's just because of the way that sound travels through helium, it makes it just 3 times more high-pitched, and because your voice is travelling through helium, because that's what's coming out of your mouth, it makes your voice high-pitched. Binary star systems are really cool. This is when you've got 2 stars that are orbiting each other. If you think about Star Wars, you know that scene where Luke Skywalker is standing in the desert and he's looking out over the horizon and he sees 2 stars? That's a binary star system. That's when there are 2 stars. Sticking with this space theme, the planet Mars has 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos, and in Roman mythology, the god of war, Mars, those are the names of his children. Now, one more fact about the number 2 is that it is 2 more days, well, it was 2 more days yesterday until the 11th of August. Now, it is 1 more day until the 11th of August today, so check back with me later, because I will have a video all about the number 1 and why 1 is really cool, and tomorrow there'll be an amazing surprise. Anyway, goodbye. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will literally see you in like a couple hours. Hello, my name is Thomas Drew, and I will be telling you some facts about the number 1. I'm back. It's the number 1. That's the lowest number. I've got myself a boba tea because I thought if I'm doing tea, I've got to do tea. So let's get into it. Now, you might be tempted to class the number 1 as a prime number, because a prime number can be divisible by both 1 and itself. However, because the number 1 itself is 1, it's actually not technically a prime number. In a deck of cards, the number 1 is represented by an ace, and this comes from the Latin or Old French word as, which means a single unit of. But funnily enough, in a French pack of cards, they don't have ace, they just represent 1 as 1. The word for 1 in German is ein. The word for 1 in Dutch is ein, and the word for stone in both those respective languages are stein and stain. And similarly in English, it used to be the fact that 1 rhymed with stone, so 1 would be own instead, to line up with these languages. However, over time, it evolved to be pronounced more like 1, how we say it today. continuing with languages, in English the word a is actually quite abnormal, a being placed before a singular noun like a cat or a building, because in a lot of languages they just use the word for one in the same way that you'd say 2 dogs or 15 parrots. Benford's law describes the fact that in real-world data sets, the first digit in a string of numbers is more likely to be 1 than any other number, and it gets less likely the higher up in numerical value the digits get. So for example, the chance of the leading digit in a string of numbers being 1 is about 30%, compared to that leading digit being 9 is about 5%. And this is actually used in the real world to detect things like fraud, because if a string of numbers doesn't follow Benford's law, there's a chance that they've been tampered with. But one more fact, haha, about the number 1 is that it is one more day until the 11th of August. Tomorrow is a very special day. I will have something very exciting in terms of number facts for you. Don't you even worry, these number facts won't be going anywhere for the next day. But also, an extra special thing, and the reason I've actually been doing this, I haven't actually properly announced it, but the reason I've been doing this is because tomorrow I will be releasing a new song called Drinking Tea. So yeah, tune in for that. It'll be great. I'm really proud of it. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye! Hello, my name is Thomas Drew, and today I'll be telling you some interesting facts about the number 0. I'm home. Back from Tenby. I'll be having a English breakfast tea because this is where it all started. It isn't breakfast time, but I thought I'd just do that. Little shake up to the structure. It's the 11th of August today, which is why I'm doing 0 as the number, because it is 0 days till the 11th of August. Now, first fact about the number 0 is that the number 0 is technically both positive and negative, or neither at all, depending on whoever you listen to, whichever mathematician you want to speak to on the subject. Because 0 is in such a strange place of being between both -1 and +1, defining it as either positive or negative is practically impossible. But one thing we can say about the number 0 is it is definitely an even number. This is because 0 divided by 2 doesn't result in any decimal places being produced, and so it is therefore an even number. Now this one actually confused me a little bit when I first researched it. It just surprised me. But there is no year 0. You go from 1 BC straight to 1 AD. I don't know why, I don't know where I would have gotten it from, but I just assumed that there would have been like a 0 AD or a 0 BC. But no, it just skips from one straight to the other. Another place where people expect 0 to exist, but it doesn't, is with gravity. With 0 gravity being not real. Of course, when you've seen footage of people on the International Space Station doing spacewalks and things like that, somebody will have explained somewhere that they're not actually technically floating. What they're actually doing is just falling. But they're travelling so fast that if this is the Earth and they're going this fast, as they're falling, they're just falling over the top of it, and they just keep going around it. And that's how you create an orbit. But technically, by definition, 0 gravity doesn't exist at all, because there is no object that doesn't have gravity. All mass has gravity to a certain extent, no matter how big, no matter how small. I have gravity, you have gravity, this mug has gravity. And I have already told you the fact that it is 0 more days until the 11th of August. And so I will tell you why that's so important. And that's because I now have a song out on all platforms, wherever you get your music, called Drinking Tea. I wrote it a couple years ago, and I'm super proud of it, and it'd be really cool if you listen to it. And if you do, I hope you enjoy it. But check on my page, because I have another one of these videos out, all about infinity. This is the surprise. Double number fact. Well, infinity is not really a fact. I'll get into that. But double fact whammy. Huzzah! All right, I'll see you over there. Hello, my name is Thomas Drew, and today I'll be telling you some interesting facts about the concept infinity. I'm back home from Tenby. I'm in front of the Iron Giant poster. I'll be drinking an English breakfast tea because It's kind of where it started, a classic builder's tea. So yeah, let's get into it. Now, I did say concept instead of number, and that will be the first fact that anyone will ever tell you about infinity, is it's not actually a number. People often say, oh, infinity is the biggest number, but infinity isn't a number. Infinity is just the concept of something going on forever. Because of this, whenever infinity does show up in mathematics, it almost functions as an algebraic representation of any possible number at all. So infinity plus infinity equals infinity, because let's say 2 plus 5, yeah, that equals 7, but 3 plus 5 doesn't equal 7. Infinity could be equal to everything, which is why you can't come up with one specific answer for infinity plus infinity, because that's not double infinity, because you can't have double everything. The question of whether the universe is infinitely big is readily debated among scientists, because there is no proper way to tell whether the universe is infinite or whether it's just really, really big. But one thing that scientists can agree on is that the universe is expanding, and this also is quite confusing. It confuses me, but I've researched this, so I think I can give you a proper answer on what's going on. When people say that the universe is expanding at billions of kilometers a second, that you imagine that it's moving through physical space, and so therefore questions of what's it expanding into start to come up. But really, it's not expanding into anything, and it's not spreading outwards. It's just stretching on itself. I find it really difficult to conceptualize, because I'm not a scientist. I'm not some astrophysicist. I'm some English boy drinking tea in his back room. But essentially, it's like if you draw 2 points on a balloon and you blow into that balloon, those points stretch away from each other, but technically the mass of the balloon isn't changing. It's just getting larger. And this is a flawed analogy, because the balloon's expanding into the rest of the room. But if you think that the balloon is all there is, that's kind of what it represents. But what this all boils down to, T-pun somewhat intended, is that I will be discontinuing this number series now, because I have reached the fated day of the 11th of August. But don't worry. If you've not seen it already, there is another number fact video up today, all about the number 0. I thought what I'd do is, because it's 0 days till the 11th of August, I'd just do a fact video about 0 and also do a fact video about infinity, because I'm not going to be able to do the rest of the numbers. I'm not going to be able to do facts about the number 327. So I just thought I'd kill an infinite number of birds with one stone and just knock them all out now. But yeah, thank you for following the series. And I even almost forgot to announce, the reason I've been doing this is because I've got a new song out. It's called Drinking Tea. It's really fun. I wrote it so long ago, but I think it's one of the best things I've ever written. I'm really proud of it. And if you listen to it, I hope you enjoy it. If not, thank you for sticking with me for this tea thing that I've been doing. It's been really fun. And yeah, I hope you stick around afterwards, because I'm not really going anywhere. You're stuck with me now, so bye. Thank you. See you later.